everybody, welcome back to Unimonks. My name is Padmanti Chauhan and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. Today we're going to continue with our 5th unit on the travelers of medieval India, and we're going to start with the subtopic Francois Bernier, a doctor with a difference. So Francois Bernier was a doctor, a political philosopher and a historian. He came to India in 1656 and he lived in India for 12 years, alright? So from 1656 to 1668. Now, he came when Shah Jahan was the ruler and he lived here as a physician for the Prince Dara Shikoh. Later, he joined the intellectual and scientist Danishmand Khan, alright? Now, before him, the thing is, Francois Bernier wasn't the first European traveler to come to India, alright? Before him, many others had come as well, okay? So, let's start with the Portuguese. The first one to come was Jesuit Roberto Nobili, alright? He translated many Indian texts to the Portuguese language, or not just Portuguese, but other European languages as well, okay? After him came Duarte Barbosa. He was also Portuguese and he wrote about the trade and society in India, okay? After him came a French jeweler, okay? His name was Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a very funky looking man, as you can see. He traveled to India multiple times. Obviously, we were very rich, very prosperous. We have beautiful jewels to give to the people, right? And because he was so impressed by our jewels, our society, he came and traveled to India multiple times, okay? Apart from him came an Italian doctor, Niccolo Manucci, alright? He was so impressed by India that he never went back to Europe. Imagine. Now, Bernier in his writings compared India to Europe, alright? Obviously, because he was trying to understand what he was familiar with and he was comparing it with the unfamiliar that he was seeing here in India, right? Now, his works were published in France in between 1670 to 71, okay, and they were translated in other European languages as well. For example, English, Dutch, German, and even Italian, okay. Now, his between 1670 and 1725, his account was reprinted 8 times. Sorry, that's 8. 8 times in French, okay. And by 1684, his English version, the English version of his account was reprinted thrice. Imagine how popular his writings were. Imagine how many people wanted to learn and read about the Indian society, right? Because these were unfamiliar things for them, right? We were a very peculiar society for them. And as we go further, you'll understand why we were so peculiar. Okay. Now, coming back to Al-Biruni and the Sanskritic traditions, okay. Now, Al-Biruni had to overcome a bunch of barriers, okay, in order to understand the Indian society, okay. Travelers, as I said previously, they compared what they saw here to what they already knew from the society that they came from, right? Now, Al-Biruni talked about various barriers that came between his understanding of the Indian society, okay. So, let's talk about these barriers. The first one was language. Obviously, the Sanskritic language, right? Now, Sanskrit is very different from Arabic and Persian that Al-Biruni was already familiar with, okay? And therefore, when he had to translate the ideas and concepts that were written in the Sanskrit language to Persian Arabic, he found it very, very hard, right? Because these two languages are very different. They're far apart, okay? They're on two opposite sides of the polar end, okay? So, in order to understand the language, first you have to learn Sanskrit, right? Then make some sort of correlation. Okay, this is what this means in Arabic, and then he had to translate it. Therefore, it took him a lot of time, and honestly, it was a genuine major obstruction, right? Now, the second barrier was the differences in religious practices and beliefs, okay? Now, Hindu religion is very ritualistic, right? Indian society in general was very ritualistic at the time, right? Now, these rituals are not seen by Al-Biruni in Islam, right? Number one, that were very ritualistic, and number two, Hindus are polytheistic, right? We have multiple gods, whereas Islam is monotheistic. They only pray to one god, right? So these were concepts that were very unfamiliar to him, that he sort of found very weird, actually. That how can this small mass of people have so many gods to pray to, right? The third barrier that he faced was of the self-absorbed and insulated local population. Now, the local population, the ordinary people, were not very helpful. Okay, they were very self-absorbed. They only wanted to do their own work. They didn't want to get involved in what he was wanting them to do, right? They insulated themselves. They saw him as an outsider, right? And they wanted to keep themselves away from him. Therefore, he found that very peculiar and a sort of an obstruction, because it honestly hinders with your understanding of the society, right? When people are not willing to communicate with you properly, to help you as an outsider understand what is happening, what is the new things that they're seeing, right? It becomes a hindrance. The final obstruction, which he doesn't really talk about, by we I mean historians, have found out or have deduced, is that he depended mostly on Brahmanical texts, okay? He read the Vedas, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Manusmriti, the works of Patanjali to understand the Indian society, right? And now we know, we've talked about this previously as well, Brahmanical texts, they give a very rigid view of the Indian society, right? Which is untrue, because of regional variations, because of regional variations and other social processes were very different, right? Were not as rigid as the books claim them to be, correct? So that is why historians feel that is a fourth obstruction in Al-Biruni's writings. Now, if you're liking this video, join our Unimonks community, alright? We would love to have you be a part of our team, be a part of our culture, okay? We provide you strategy guidance for CUET 2024. We'll give you question paper analysis. We'll start doing those very, very soon. We also give you domain-specific videos, clearly, right? I'm doing one right now. And we introduce you to some of the best teachers that you will find on this platform, alright? The thing is, we don't just do subjects of social sciences, okay? We don't only do domain-specific videos on humanities subjects. We do it on science, we cover commerce, alright? We even prepare you for your general test. So join our community, become one with us, okay? Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, join our Telegram group, alright? We'll share our question papers, we'll clear your doubts on those groups. And finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel, obviously. Be updated with these videos. Thank you so much. Now, continuing on, we have Al-Biruni's description of the caste system. Al-Biruni said, now according to him, social divisions were not unique to India, alright? Persia also had these social divisions. But he said that within Islam, all men were considered equal. They just differed in their observance of PT, alright? How they believed in their religion, how they believed in their God, that was different. How they practiced their religion, that was different. But apart from that, there weren't any sort of social differences, okay? There was no hierarchy there, unlike in India. Secondly, he disapproved of the notion of pollution, okay? He did not he remarked that anything that becomes impure strives their best to become pure again, okay? For example, the air cleanses the sun. Clearly, if the air gets polluted, the sun cleanses it for it. Sorry, I went wrong there. I meant the sun cleanses the air, okay? So obviously, when the air gets polluted, the sun cleanses it, right? Another example would be that the salt cleanses the sea from getting polluted, right? These things that get polluted eventually strive their best to become pure again, correct? So that is why he said that the concept of social pollution was contrary to the laws of nature, okay? But the thing is, his view of the caste system is very literal, right? As I said previously, he reads about the caste system from our books, from Brahmanical texts, right? But those Brahmanical texts will obviously portray the society as being very rigid, but social realities were very different. For example, a jati called Anteja, okay? Antyaja literally means born outside the system, okay? Even though they were born outside the system, they were expected to be a part of the economical society, okay? They provided inexpensive labor to zamindars and other peasants, okay? So even though they were socially disregarded, or socially, let's say, excluded, not disregarded, they were socially excluded, economically they were a part of the community, right? They weren't the social these rigid barriers that the texts have created weren't as rigid, okay? Because at the end of the day, if they're going to be that rigid, society would have stopped functioning a very long time ago, right? That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any trivia to share, if you have any doubts, any questions to ask me, leave them in the comments down below. And for more such information, subscribe to Unimonks. Thank you for watching. Bye.